Sunday at the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance, where thousands of motoring enthusiasts gather from all over the world. But these car lovers are not just here for the Concours, but for a full week celebrating automotive's premier event. It's auctions. It's the other Concours here, like the Concorso Italiano and Concours de Le Mans, for those less wanted cars. And of course, the luxury makes are here, with the hopes that today's offering will one day be tomorrow's collectible. Over the next hour, we'll take you on a tour of the events that drive the automotive world. So sit back, buckle up, and hang on, as NBC Sports takes you on a ride around the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance like you've never seen. NBC Sports is proud to bring you the 63rd annual Pebble Beach Concours Elegance, presented by Haggerty. I'm standing just off the fairway of the famed 18th hole at Pebble Beach Golf Links. Hello everybody, I'm Tor Dietrich, and once a year, the Monterey Peninsula is literally transformed from a world-renowned golf destination into a mecca of the automotive world. It's a week-long celebration of motoring. And we have our NBC Sports Auto Show team, Doug Browner, Nick Miles, and our special guest, former Motor Trend Editor-in-Chief and car collector himself, C. Van Toon. Van, this is not your normal auto show.
No, Tor, this is way more than a car show. Right now, Pebble Beach is the center of the automotive universe. This is considered the most important and impressive classic car event in the country and one of the very best in the world.
Lots of history too, right?
Oh, for sure. What started back in 1950 as a group of sports car buddies just parking their cars on the grass after the Pebble Beach road races has grown into an incredible event.
Just how many cars are we talking about here?
Well, Tor, if you count all the auctions, we're talking a couple of thousand cars in total. It's really more than you can see, but it's fun trying.
Van, what about the Concours itself?
Well, the Concours itself is open to only 260 vehicles. It's by invitation only, and these are the best of the best from around the world.
Well, it sounds like a great event. I'm ready. Are you?
Let's rev it up and get out of here.
All right. Well, we're ready to kick things off with Doug. He's over at the Tour de Elegance.
Welcome. Well, Tor, every good party has to have a good beginning, and this is exactly where it all starts. The Concours de Elegance, the kickoff parade. And as these cars begin to, well, make their journey, not just through Pebble Beach, but all the way over to Carmel by the sea, they're going to have quite the day. But it is also important to remember that just because a car looks good and people are smiling, well, doesn't always mean that the ride goes all that smoothly.
While these cars are amazing to look at while folks walk around, the real payoff is watching them drive, which is why the Tour de Elegance is one of the real highlights of this event.
Oh, they're amazing. They're incredible. It's great to be out here.
But when cars get old, the wheels can literally fall off the proverbial wagon.
To see them out on the roadway and hear the engines, hear the brakes, smell the brakes is a lot of the fun of the tour.
Wait, did he just use the word fun in the same breath as hear and smell the brakes? That's not good, sir. Just ask this guy.
The brakes started heating up, and then we couldn't get the brakes cooled down enough going up Laurels. So then it started to overheat, so we're waiting for things to cool down.
More than could be said for some. You see, much like a parade of ambulances that would be appropriate at an all-the-steak-you-can-eat contest, well, tow trucks here, they're in high demand. But it's funny because neither the spectators nor car owners seem to mind, and that is something. Testament to the enduring appeal of the classic automobile, regardless of whether they actually run or not.
So, Tor, as the afternoon winds up here, it's plain to see a lot of happy faces, at least for those folks who were able to make it back here to Pebble Beach. And as we said, despite a few breakdowns and a few tow trucks, there does seem to be an awesome opportunity for not just me, but for the thousands of people who were able to make the trek. I'll ask you real quick, how was the ride?
Great, excellent.
And you had quite the ride in which to, well, ride in.
Yes.
All right, good to see you. And Tor, good to see cars that, quite honestly, despite my almost 20 years covering the automotive industry, I've actually never seen, let alone been around before. We're at the parade end. We're going to toss it back to you.
Well, there's not only a Concours here, there's a Concorso Italiano and a Concours de Le Mans. You heard that right, for lemons. Plus,
England fits into California 3.5 times. We'll take a look at some of the best of British motoring, including Bentley. And if you want to get into this car, it'll cost you somewhere north of $360,000. All that and more when our look at Pebble Beach returns.
And the winner is...
You're watching NBC Sports coverage of the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance, presented by Haggerty. One of the biggest events during the Pebble Beach Concours is the Quail, a motorsports gathering. Now with tickets at $550 a piece, it's definitely one of the most exclusive auto show events in the world. For these car lovers, you can't put a price on being part of this Uber car show, where it's just as important to be as to be seen. So what's the draw? Special car collections that rarely, if ever, make it out of their owner's stable. You'll find more than 200 cars displayed here. The value? Well, let's just put it this way. Some of these collections are so rare and one of a kind, they're considered priceless. Like this, a 1950 166 Touring Berlinetta, Ferrari's first road car. What a beautiful product. And take a look at this. The small company singers here showing how making old Porsche 911s can be new again. The price, about $500,000. From high-end luxury to supercars, Quail Hill offers a unique opportunity to mingle with high-end enthusiasts and collectors.
This is the absolute perfect venue for us to launch our two newest vehicles. The first one's the Quattroporte. It's the 6th generation of that car. We started that car 50 years ago. And then we're also going to be coming out in late September, early October with our newest car called the Ghibli. That's a Maserati that enters a whole new segment for us. It really competes with some of the higher volume luxury sedans.
Well, there you go, some very exclusive cars from a very exclusive event. Nick?
This is another off-site exclusive party at the Nicholas Club Monterey, where Jaguar are unveiling a car codenamed the Project 7. Now, we don't only get to see, feel and touch this car, but we also get to test drive it. Let's go for a ride.
We increased the horsepower in the engine by 50 horsepower. We lowered the ride height by 10 millimeters and did a specific dynamic tune to suit, and we did a bespoke exhaust system.
Pebble Beach is another reason for Jaguar to show off their first true sports car for 20 years, the F-Type. This car is aimed at a younger, more dynamic customer who loves the open air, the wind on their face, and the sound of a 495 horsepower V8 engine in their ears. The F-Type has a special button on the inside to make the exhaust sound more prominent. Built of lightweight aluminum, the F-Type is all about performance with a 0 to 60 mile an hour time of 4.3 seconds. That's the same as a Ferrari California, but the F-Type is about a third of the price. Kim Kardashian has one, Cindy Crawford has one, and Paris Hilton's is very, very pink. They all drive Bentleys, and the latest creation from this British car maker was on display at Pebble, the Bentley Flying Spur. Now with more options, including 100 different color choices, a W12 engine, and a top speed of 200 miles an hour, the Flying Spur joins the rest of the Bentley models in showrooms this year. Now, obviously the glitz and glamour is here at this event. I am desperate to find out what you have discovered across town at your event, Doug.
Nick, I am so thrilled that you were able to get into those fancy parties with your $500 a ticket, tours, your caviar, your champagne. I, however, well, could get none of that. In fact, I'm in the parking lot. It's about as far as I made it, but I'm gonna have to be honest with you. This, my friend, is no average parking lot.
Sure, the cars inside the party are among the world's greatest, but these rich people had to drive here in something, right? And for me, that's where the real fun is, the parking lot.
Is there any chance you would believe that I'm the valet? Is there any way I could convince you of that?
I could, actually.
Really? Sir, please, may I take your keys? I'm the valet here.
Go, I'm ready to go.
How easy is this guy? I love you. Let's say that we went over and raided the valet stand. What key would we steal?
Well, I think I would like to drive the new McLaren. There's quite a few of them out here, so.
Oh, Terry, you have good taste for a parking lot crasher.
Yeah.
Okay, full disclosure, you can't really crash this parking lot. I mean, it really isn't a lot at all. It's actually part of a golf course.
When you're like a working reporter and you can't get the fancy ticket, you just walk through the... Really? A Ferrari? Look, I've been in a lot of parking lots in my life. I'm not sure I've ever seen the Lambo pulled right up to the Ferrari underneath a tree that's, oh, I don't know, dripping sap. I love this place.
The good news for me, well, it seems I wasn't the only one unable to score a ticket to this party.
You couldn't get into the party.
They told me to park here. Somebody pulled out. I pulled right back in. I asked, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yep."
Now, with all due respect, because I'm a working guy like you.
Right.
You're part of the maintenance crew, right?
I'm a photographer.
Yeah, well, even lower, you're part of the custodial crew.
Also good news, well, out here, unlike folks inside at the real car show, a reporter's ability to get up close and personal with a car is exceptional. Okay, maybe a little too up close and too personal.
I love you, little pony. Do prancing the way you do it. So don't get mad. Just one time.
So, Tor, suffice it to say that, at least in my opinion, the parking lot not only, well, more friendly, but infinitely more interesting than any of the big fancy parties that all you guys have been able to attend. And by the way, I have some good news. I just heard from show management. They're gonna let me in as soon as I finish my chores. I'll toss it back to you.
Well, here in Pebble Beach, BMW is introducing two concepts. First, the BMW Pininfarina Gran Lusso Coupe. Working together with world-renowned Italian design house Pininfarina, BMW came up with this design study that shows what a 7 Series might look like as a coupe. Just look at the lighting package, and the Italian flair flows to the inside as well. Aged leather, and get this, 43,000-year-old wood, straight from the underground down under in New Zealand. No word yet on whether they'll build it. BMW also wowed the crowd with this, their M4 Concept Coupe. Now realize that BMW is no longer making 3 Series coupes. They've all been bumped up to 4 Series. So no coupes in a 3 Series, only 4, hence the M4 Concept Coupe. No interior shown, no performance stats, but one look at these rotors will tell you this is one serious performance machine. We'll have more new cars and concepts from Pebble Beach. Stay with us. You're watching NBC Sports coverage of the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance, presented by Haggerty. Well, Cadillac certainly has a long history and heritage in the automotive world. Well, here in Pebble Beach, they're also looking to its future with the introduction of the El Mirage. The El Mirage is a concept, and at 205 inches long, it carries a lot of presence, harkening back to another era for Cadillac.
It's a vehicle for us to almost restart and re-energize a segment of vehicles that really haven't been around in a long time, which is the big, beautiful, spectacular coupe. We really haven't done something like this. Really, it's been probably over 30 years. Easy. Long time.
Yep, no fins on this Caddy. It does carry Cadillac's signature vertical lighting, this with LEDs, and a design that will definitely capture the imagination of onlookers.
As a designer, what you're looking for are probably 3 big things. You want a fantastic silhouette or profile of the car. It's the first thing that hits you when you see it. The second thing you see is proportion, and the wheels, where the front wheel is to the windshield, that's dash to axle. It's a classical proportion. And then a short front overhang and a little bit longer rear overhang, and it really sets and poises the car.
Inside the El Mirage, premium touches to remind you you're in a Cadillac, but you can't miss the technology. Screens are not only getting bigger, but they're being used in ways not seen before. Just look at how this touchscreen, with apps, extends into the passenger area. Under the hood, a big V8 to match its exterior presence, a 4.5-liter twin-turbo boasting some 500 horses. That power plant in this rear-wheel drive package promises to give potential luxury buyers a thrill ride in total comfort, if it were to go to production. Let's hope it does. Well, from Cadillac's future, we turn the clock back to take a look at their rich past and heritage. Van, what you got?
Thanks, Tor. Today's Cadillacs are well known for being high-tech, high-style, and highly luxurious. But did you know that ever since Cadillac was created back in 1902, its cars have often been the leaders in technical innovations? Yeah, Cadillac's heritage is a lot more than tail fins and chrome trim. 1903, the first ever Cadillac was powered by a 10-horsepower single-cylinder engine with variable valve timing and got 25 miles to the gallon. It cost just $750. In 1912, Cadillac introduced the first electric starting system, while the rest of the automotive world was still using the old-fashioned hand crank. Between 1914 and 1918, during World War I, Cadillac's factories turned partly to airplane production. In 1930, although the Depression era was beginning, the world's first 16-cylinder engine was put into Cadillac's top models. 1949, the 1 millionth Cadillac hit the road with the new high-compression V8 under its hood. The performance of this 331 cubic inch engine helped start the American horsepower wars. 1954, making driving easier for women and men alike, Cadillac was the first manufacturer to provide power steering on its entire line of cars. 1957, the tail fins grew tall and technology was packed in as the 1950s progressed. Today, a 1957 Eldorado Brougham like this can command prices well above $200,000. 64 Cadillacs received the world's first automatic climate control and Twilight Sentinel that automatically turned the headlights on and off. 1967, the first front-wheel drive Cadillac, the stunning Eldorado, hit showrooms. By 1970, the world's largest production engine, the Eldorado's new 8.2-liter V8 with 400 horsepower, made this Caddy a luxury muscle car. So if you're looking for an affordable classic with strong upside price potential, check out the 67 through 70 Eldorados. Nice ones can still be had for under $20,000. And if you think it's any coincidence that Cadillac is including this 1967 Eldorado in their display, well, maybe they're telling us they're looking back to the future. Tor?
Thanks, Van. Well, you know, with close to 2,000 rare and collectible cars on the Monterey Peninsula, one of the hottest topics is value. How much is that car worth? Well, we have the man himself, McKeel Haggerty, here to talk about how much these cars are worth. And you know, McKeel, when most people drive a new car off the lot, they watch the value just sink. But not here, right? What happens?
Well, I mean, this is the world of the best of the best. So, you know, every car here, probably when it was new, also sank in value, but they've crept back up, and through the decades, many of them have just gone into the stratosphere. On the Monterey Peninsula right now are literally billions of dollars of cars.
Tell us about the market and where it's going, the bubble, perhaps?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of a bubble, but the way I think about it, it's more like the perfect storm. We have, a generation of people, particularly in the baby boomers, who are buying a lot of cars. At this level here at Pebble Beach, these are the rarest of the rare. These are sports racing cars from the 50s. These are the big Ferraris, the Duesenbergs pre-war, big Mercedes pre-war. We track the values, we track the sales, we look at all of the auctions put together, all the private treaty sales and other sources of data. And then so we can really see sort of where it's really going. And there's no doubt about it. I don't know if it's a bubble, but it's absolutely a boom in collecting cars right now. A car like this, behind us, this is a $5 to $8 million car.
Can you give us a primer on how value is established on these cars?
Sure. Again, with a car like a Corvette, there were a lot of Corvettes made, and it's the most collected car in the United States. So, the value of, everything from the 50s era Corvettes right up until modern ones it's very well understood. So if somebody calls us and says, oh, gee, I, just inherited my dad's 63 split window Corvette, what do I insure it for? We can help them not just by sort of guessing, but by saying, this is exactly what they're selling for.
Well, there you have it, a bit of insight from McKeel Haggerty. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be with you.
The auctions play a really big part of what goes on here at Pebble Beach, and this Ferrari Nard Spider that I'm sitting in is expected to go for an asking price of somewhere around $17 million. I have the keys. We'll find out if it sells when we come back.
You're watching NBC Sports coverage of the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance, presented by Haggerty. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Jaguar, certainly names you expect to find at the Pebble Beach Concours. Well, how about Hyundai? They're introducing this HCD14 Genesis concept. With its beautiful sleek lines and a grille that literally sucks in the interest of Pebble Beach car aficionados, there's little argument that Hyundai, yes Hyundai, can proudly stand among the most elegant cars at the most exclusive auto show event in the world. And although the HCD14 concept is on a longer wheelbase, the overall length is the same as the current Genesis. So the question remains, could this be the next Genesis? Well, take away some of its elaborate concept touches, like these side mirrors, and drop on more modest wheels, and you're getting close. The center opening doors are auto show favorites, but crazy hard to implement in real production. Inside this Hyundai concept is a technological wonder with gesture recognition. The idea is that you wave your hand to change the radio station or turn up the heat. My bet is that the interior will get a complete redo. However, this technology, developed by Hyundai, will probably make its way into a future car once it's ready for prime time. Realize the Genesis is a hard act to follow. It's received accolades for its moderate price and loaded luxury. And you know, with record sales with the current Genesis and their top-line Equus, Hyundai has every right to be here. Doug?
Yeah, Tor, hey, thanks. And you know what, it's not just Hyundai that a lot of people here at Pebble Beach are paying attention to. Certainly, the new Infiniti Q50, it's turning some heads.
It's a segment of the auto industry long dominated by German automakers. But watch out, BMW and Mercedes. The Infiniti Q50 is now ready, willing, and more than able to give those guys a run for their money. Starting at just over 37 grand, the Q50 is a sports sedan that leaves nothing on the table, and it puts it all on the highway.
You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. It's state-of-the-art technologies. Horsepower is amazing. You have choices between powertrains. The options are endless.
A 3.7-liter V6 under the hood, churning a whopping 328 horsepower, and this car delivers all of that seamlessly. The ride is also outstanding, the driver comfort superior. Available with an $1,800 all-wheel drive option, this might be where the Q50 really impresses. The all-wheel drive offering extremely confident turns and rail-like handling. Overall, if you seek a refined sports sedan experience, well, stop dreaming and don't let the new Q50 just be a fantasy. And from Acura, check this out. We found the all-new 2015 Acura NSX prototype. With a mid-engine V6 mated to a 7-speed manual transmission, this thing just looks fast and, dare I say, furious. Add to all that the fact that this is also a hybrid. And the driver is going to have a superior experience as well, with a newly developed cabin that focuses on good visibility and what's called a simple sports interface, which is simply to have the driver not focus on interior information clutter, but instead on what's really important, and that is to focus just on driving. The NSX should go on sale sometime in 2015.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. That Acura is awesome, not just for around the streets, but maybe even at the track, but it certainly is not going to go off-road and tackle some of the mountains and the water that's here in Pebble Beach. Oh, but there is one car that might be able to do that. Nick Miles knows, and Nick, are we talking Range Rover here?
So much of Pebble Beach is about classic cars, but these historic masterpieces are of an age gone by. But out of something old always comes something new. This is the 2014 Range Rover Sport, and it's taken 65 years to get here.
It started when Maurice Wilks conceived of the idea of Land Rover on a beach in 1947. Thanks to a surplus of aircraft parts from the war, the body was built of aluminum and magnesium. The original colours were paint left over from aircraft manufacturing, blue, green and greys. And the Land Rover prototype was first tested in the rugged mountains of Wales in areas where only sheep can get into. It was all about capability and very little about comfort.
So how far have Range Rover come in 65 years? The results are in the 2014 Range Rover Sport, and the only way to find out is to drive it and experience that history.
The new Range Rover Sport comes out of the gate with a flying start. Range Rover ranked #1 in a recent J.D. Power & Associates appeal survey. The 2014 Range Rover Sport is the fastest, most responsive and most agile Range Rover ever, with a 0 to 60 mile an hour time of 5 seconds. That is 0.5 seconds faster than a Porsche Boxster. 33% lighter, this new Range Rover has shed almost 800 pounds. That's equivalent to 5 adults and their luggage. For fuel savings, the engineers have added a stop-start feature. When the vehicle is not in motion, the engine will turn off and restart when the accelerator pedal is depressed. For those off-road users amongst us, the 2014 is fitted with an automatic terrain response system. The vehicle will change its settings for optimum terrain capability. For 2014, the Range Rover Sport becomes a 5+2-seater. The back row, not recommended for long journeys, allows for the Sport to transport 7 people.
Now, the Land Rover stand at Pebble Beach is always one of the most popular displays, and a big triumph for the company this year was the fact that the new royal baby, Prince George, was transported back from the hospital in a new Range Rover.
I don't know what you're doing over there with your champagne and your caviar, but we've got lemons. Quite literally, it's the Concours de Lemon. We've got rust, we've got gremlins, and even Yugos. Don't go anywhere. We show you the other side of this huge event. You're watching the Pebble Beach Concours de Elegance, brought to you by Haggerty.
You're watching NBC Sports coverage of the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, presented by Haggerty. Welcome back. Well, if you come to Pebble Beach, one of the must-see events, of course, is the Concorso Italiano. Now, there's close to 1,000 cars here of Italian origin. One of the big stars, how about this? The Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. This lucky owner took delivery here in Monterey.
We just got it delivered, drove it from the hotel here this morning, so I've got about 5 miles on it. Dying to go take it for a drive. Got it in crazy green. Verde Ithaca is the name of the color.
Pure Bull.
Pure Bull, yeah, that's it.
And it's not just Lambos and Ferraris. Although they dominate this gathering, it's all Italian brands. Maseratis, Fiats, Alfa Romeos, you bet.
I love Italian cars, and I own an Italian car. I've owned an Italian car the whole time. We're all enthusiasts. We love to spend time together, drink wine, eat food, and look at beautiful cars.
And there's no doubt that beautiful rides, well, they definitely attract beautiful women. It's all part of the scenery here, and for some, they can't help but display their passion for Italian sports cars.
I love the drive, I love the feel, and I mean, it just represents me all over. I did the tattoo for the 50th anniversary for Lamborghini, and I came down here just for that. Everyone loves it, yeah. I mean, it's amazing, how can you not?
Of course, as with all Concours, it is a competition. This owner walked away with Lamborghini's Best in Show, coming all the way from Australia with this fully restored 1969 Miura P400S.
The car was finished about 3 months ago, and I took it to Italy and did the Lamborghini 5th anniversary Gran Giro. Drove it for 1,511 miles around Italy and Europe.
Hold on. You mean to tell me he just put 1,500 road miles on a car worth close to $1 million?
Personally, I like to drive my cars. I'm a driver, not a polisher, but I like my cars to look as nice as they can. But look, I think it's good that the cars do get driven. If they sit around and never get driven, it's actually bad for the cars. They do need to be driven regularly. Look, and provided they're driven carefully and looked after, there's no reason they can't be kept in the condition that this car is presented in today.
So there you have it, some beautiful cars from a beautiful event. Nick, what you got?
Well, Tor, what about splitting this Range Rover? This half has absolutely nothing in it. The other half has all the inner workings in it, so you can see what's behind every single panel.
Pebble Beach is the first place that this display has ever been seen in the US, and it's getting a lot of attention. A good swing with a 9-iron from Land Rover will put your ball at the SRT display. We found the All-American Viper shined up and being admired by some excited fans.
It's exotic, looks beautiful. I mean, if you just look at it, the lines are just perfect. I didn't want to get out of the car. I mean, if I could just stay there for the whole day, I would.
Mercedes-Benz S-Class AMG was displayed, but not announced until hours before the show. The German manufacturer had initially wanted to wait until the Frankfurt show to roll out the AMG, but decided to include it at the last moment. And Porsche used Pebble Beach and the surrounding events as an opportunity to give a handful of lucky fans a test drive of their new 918. That's one of the fastest hybrid sports cars ever built. At the main Porsche display, the company is celebrating 50 years of the 911. Every 7 years, Porsche produced a new generation of the car.
The limited production of the Porsche 911 Targa included only 483 ever made. 4 of them were in this canary yellow color. This is the only one to still exist.
Thanks, Nick. Well, if you're into muscle cars, you gotta love the all-new Corvette Stingray. How does it drive? We find out. We're coming to you from the 63rd Annual Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, presented by Haggerty. You're watching NBC Sports coverage of the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, presented by Haggerty. Well, performance car enthusiasts around the world have eagerly been anticipating the arrival of the all-new 455 horsepower 2014 Corvette Stingray. Well, here in Monterey, journalists are getting behind the wheel for the first time, and I know someone who just can't wait.
The 2014 Corvette is the 7th generation of America's sports car, and it's new from the inside out. Both coupe and convertible body styles are available and are the first Corvettes to carry the legendary Stingray nameplate in over 35 years. The aggressive new styling is much more angular than before, with wicked body lines that combine functional air scoops and tricks learned on the racetrack to deliver a car that looks menacing from every angle. Under the carbon fiber hood is the advanced 6.2-liter V8, which cranks out 455 horsepower, yet delivers up to 30 miles per gallon on the highway. In fact, Chevy's engineers tell us it takes only 12 horsepower to propel the new Corvette along at 50 miles an hour. Or when you want to show off, the optional dual-mode exhaust system gives you an even nastier exhaust note and 5 more horsepower. Under the skin is one of the new Stingray's most important components, a strong and lightweight aluminum frame that's 99 pounds lighter than the previous Corvettes, but is 57% stiffer. That lets the engineers tune the suspension for better grip and better ride quality as well. The standard gearbox is a new 7-speed manual with active rev matching for fast shifts. The new cockpit design fixes many of the gripes about previous Corvettes. There are 2 types of seats offered, one style for long-haul comfort and the other for competition driving. Okay, enough talk, let's go driving. Ready to unleash some American muscle? 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. And the quarter mile in 12.2 seconds at 117 miles per hour. One of the benefits of having this stiffer aluminum chassis in the car this year is how flat this is, but it just hooks over 1G. But then when you're not on the skid pad, the Corvette really has improved in its overall ride quality. There's no denying that the 2014 Corvette is an impressive performance car, especially when you consider price. The coupe starts at just under $52,000, and the sleek convertible is a hair under $57,000. There's no denying that the new Stingray is one of the best 2-seat performance car values in the world. Oh man, the engineers at Chevrolet have really improved the Corvette in all ways. You can feel the tautness of the new chassis, the big brakes, the big tires, and the lightweight the car handles, and of course, that killer motor in this thing. Hey, part of the fun of owning a Corvette, I've owned several, is the heritage of Corvettes. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The first Corvette is what they call the C1, first generation. This is a 1953. This first started out as a Motorama show car, and the public demand was so huge, they put it into production in just 6 months later. George and Monty opened the hood on this guy. We're going to show you what all Chevrolet had in their arsenal was no V8. They did not have a V8. They only had an inline 6 in 1953, and so they put 3 single-barrel carburetors on it and backed it up with a 2-speed automatic. Well, obviously the performance was going to come to 1955 when the small block hit. Inside, this car is designed sort of like a European sports car. 2 bucket seats, sit real close to the ground, and again, in 1953, this thing was a showstopper. Now, jump ahead a few years to the second generation Corvette. These came out in 63, the Stingray. This is a 1966. Monty, get in here and show us the motor on this this guy. This is the first 427, 1966, solid lifter cam, 425 horse. These babies were brutes, and yet they had the cool styling of the Stingray that started in 1963. So we've got the 50th anniversary of the Stingray, along with the 60th anniversary of the Corvette in general. Now, the next generation is a C3, which came out in 1968. This is a 72 model that's called the LT1. Well, that's for the LT1 engine. Monty, give us a look at this baby. This is a high-revving, small block, solid lifter, 5.7, 350 cubic inch engine, put out around 370 horsepower. Inside, I love what they did to the interior on these third-generation cars as well. They really started making them very luxurious for this new type of buyer that wanted luxury as well as performance. So the first 3 generations we've got 53, 63, 68, and then we've got the generations C4, C5, C6, and the all-new C7. And I predict in about another 20 or 30 years, this new C7 Corvette will be a modern classic. But right now, if you're interested in buying a classic car at an auction, you don't know how that works, and you don't want to pay too much, what do you need to know? Well, our man Nick has it covered. Nick?
Well, thanks. The auctions don't only set a very important price for here on the peninsula, but they're important for cars all over the world that are being sold at auction from this point on. And this Nard Spider is up for auction. It's expected to get around $17 million. We'll find out if it sells in just a moment.
There are 5 major auctions that occur around the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance.
Sold your car, sir, and congratulations. Congratulations.
And the amount of money that changes hands might astonish you.
Last year it was $265 million. This year, a virtual certainty to break $300 million.
The classic car auctions at Pebble Beach set the car prices for the following year around the world. The cars at these auctions are sold as is, but most of them have been lovingly cared for and range in price from $30,000 to the millions and millions of dollar mark. Some of the auction items are not legal to drive in every state. This classic Porsche 959, although for sale, has a note on the windshield suggesting that it is not sold to a California buyer.
This was the ultimate forbidden fruit. If you were somebody like Paul Allen or Bill Gates from Microsoft or Jerry Seinfeld, this was the car you wanted because they couldn't be brought into the U.S. legally for a long time.
Bill Gates bought a Porsche 959, but it was impounded by U.S. Customs for 13 years. So what is on offer at this year's auction?
We're especially excited because we tend to offer the world's very best Ferraris, and this year's no exception. We have a Nard Spider with a catalog estimate of 14 to 17 million, which is really the highlight lot of all the events in Monterey this summer.
The Ferrari Nard Spider that is on the auction block this year has a most beautiful history. Only 10 of these cars were ever made, and this one has only ever had one owner. Steve McQueen had tried to buy the Smith Nard Spider after his was wrecked.
And Dad said to him, he said, "Steve, I like you, but I don't love you. You can't have my car."
So the 1967 Nard Spider sells for $27.5 million.
Thank you very much.
So we've just watched history being made here at the RM auction rooms in the Portola Hotel. Tor, back to you.
Thanks, Nick. Well, the Concours Elegance started as a road race. What is it today? We'll show you coming up next. We're coming to you from the 63rd Annual Pebble Beach Concours Elegance. You're watching NBC Sports coverage of the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance, presented by Haggerty. Well, there's no question that the Pebble Beach Concours is serious business and serious competition. Right, Van?
Well, it's one thing to talk to the owners of a classic car, but what about the people that restored it? Yeah, that's the tough job. They got to make parts, find parts out of thin air, and yeah, they aren't cheap. Hey, fellas, let me talk to you about this car.
Oh, okay.
Come on over. Well, so this looks like a Packard.
Yes, 1939.
Uh-huh.
And it's a V12 formal sedan, as they refer to it as.
And your friend over here is he one of the mechanics, or is he a driver or an owner?
This is Kenny, and he hangs around the shop and turns nuts and bolts when they need to be turned.
Tell us what it would cost typically to restore a car this
style. You know, the sky's the limit. Some of these cars on this field have over $1 million in the restoration on them.
Kenny, did they ever let you take one of these out and go for a...
I won't drive one. I won't drive one of them. No, I sit in the back and let somebody do the chauffeuring.
Okay, so what makes this event so much fun for spectators as well as for owners?
Well, you know, the Pebble Beach Concours started in 1950, and really it was just a sideshow because it was really about the Pebble Beach road races back then. Over the years, we went from kicking a few tires after the races to the world's most amazing gathering of classic cars, all on one day on the 18th green and fairway of Pebble Beach.
Let's talk to another car owner, a car from the 50s. Hey, look at this gorgeous Continental Mark II. I hear there's something very special about the history of this car.
This particular car was ordered, special ordered by Henry Ford II for his wife, his first wife, Anne. And it was her personal car for 2 years, and then she sold it to her assistant. It was one of the first post-war American-made cars that truly was built to compete both on a price level and a quality and panache level with Rolls-Royce and Bentley. And at the point we picked it up, it was in a very dilapidated state. It was literally in boxes and baskets. The restoration took in excess of 3,000 hours.
Obviously, this is a labor of love for the owners, but what exactly goes into the judging process?
We have 109 class judges that judge our 30 categories, just car guys, who's who of the auto industry.
The Best of Show winner is just now being announced.
And the winner is Joseph Cassini III's 1934 Packard convertible Victoria. Congratulations!
And this is the second time he's won top honors.
This is the Olympics of car shows. You never think that you could, win the Olympics twice.
All I gotta say is that's the way they roll in Pebble Beach. Now over to Doug, who's found an auto show on the other side of town. But apparently over there, not everything is champagne and caviar.
Van, you couldn't have said that any better, because about 5 miles from where you are, not all the cars are, well, quite as fancy. In fact, here it's more about beer and milk duds, which is why they call this place the Concours de Le Mans.
Most car shows spread goodwill and smiles. This one, well, it seems to be spreading gear oil and rusty parts more than anything else. The Concours de Le Mans. A display of cars so bad that this collection of automotive refuse and rejects has become, well, a huge hit. And the participants tend to be as eclectic as the cars they own.
What are you possibly doing in this, and I use the word kindly, car?
It's kind of like, the Hitchhiker's Guide. It's improbability.
And just as improbable is the fact that something built by the long-defunct American Motors Corporation could be one of the hits of this show.
I knew it would happen, okay? My high school dream car. It's an AMC Gremlin. 2 things that jump out is you've got to love the custom knobs on top of the door lock. The thing that bothers me, though, the fantasy about the Gremlin, is the fact that the speedometer actually reads to 120 miles an hour. Really? This car is sharp.
I've actually never seen another one driving.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the most common reaction you get?
Thumbs up, screaming, Wayne's World mix-ups, because that's a pacer.
Oh, unless you think this is all fun and games, well, there are judges. Kind of.
The founders of these events, they almost encourage the fact that you can have a little bit of fun and bribe the judges, and that may or may not influence the outcome of the awards.
But win or lose, the real prize here are the cars. But let's be honest, just because they're awesome to look at and they tend to tickle our funny bones, well, these presenters here haven't acquired these rides because it makes good financial sense, regardless of what they may think.
What do you think the value of something like this is?
Oh, it's incalculable.
It's the guy.
I mean, look at it.
The guy over at the Bentley exhibit shared that same line with me. You want to try again? Come here.
I wouldn't.
You get the naive hug of the day, my friend. Oh my gosh. All right, Tor, so I have found it. This is my favorite, an 83 Town & Country with plastic wood paneling. I got my cassettes on board, and this car, well, it even talks. So remember, when you get lemons, at least over here, you, well, make Concours de Lemonade. I'll toss it back to you.
Joining me once again to wrap up the event here, Steve Antoon. Van, great event. How about the tour? It's always good for a couple breakdowns, huh?
First of all, you got to hand it to the owners for risking their super expensive, super rare, and delicate cars out on the road. And Wouldn't you hate to be the guy in the $2 million car that lunched his motor?
Absolutely. And some great cars too. That Cadillac, I thought was gorgeous.
The El Mirage concept, you got to hand it to Cadillac for kind of going back to their heritage, for a little bit of inspiration on that car. I don't know, think they're going to put that in production?
I hope so. And then there's Hyundai. I mean, they're here with a concept that was drawing a lot of attention. I thought it looked great.
Well, first of all, you got to get over the fact that what's Hyundai doing at a classic car event? But you know what? I kind of stood back and watched people as they checked that car out. They were really digging it. I think Hyundai's onto something.
It was a good-looking concept, absolutely. Acura NSX. Oh, that is a drop-dead gorgeous product.
Wow. From any angle, you know what? It looks better in person than it even does in the photos. I can't wait till that baby comes out.
And man, you got to drive the new Vette.
Well, first of all, try and keep me out of a new Corvette with somebody else's tires on to make rubber smoke out of. That car, a little over 52 grand or 57 grand for the convertible. I don't know. What do you think? Give me a bonus. I'll be driving one of those.
Yeah, right. Then there's Doug. He goes in the parking lot, finds just as many exotics as I do in Quail, which is $550 a ticket.
Well, Tor, I think that speaks to the type of enthusiasts that come to this show. They just don't want to go look at somebody else's car. They want to drive their own cool car.
True enthusiasts. They're drivers. And then there's the Concours itself. Always lots of surprises, right?
Definitely surprises. That's what's fun about this. You never know exactly who the judges are going to choose for the best cars. And that's fun, going out and kind of making your own ballot and then going, wow, where'd that come from?
Exactly. Well, that's it for our coverage of the 63rd annual Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. For Doug Browner, Nick Miles, and my friend here, Van Toon, thanks for joining us.